joining us now from House Oversight and House Judiciary, Arizona Congressman Andy Biggs. Always wonderful to see you, Congressman Biggs. So what do you think of this new idea, no taxes on overtime? He says it'll create a whole new workforce.
I think it's an interesting idea that will actually, if it gets put in place, he's right. I think it'll stimulate and incentivize people to go back to work. Don't forget, we still have millions and millions of people that have never gone back to work, and I think this might incentivize some of them. And it's just another plank in his economic recovery plan, because inflation itself is a tax on people, and he's trying to ease that burden, get people back to work, and get this economy rolling again.
Okay, so no taxes on tips, no taxes on Social Security benefits, no taxes on overtime. And now we've got this new development. The Washington Post reports, quote, many Americans still are not better off than they were 4 years ago, that the U.S. Census Bureau reports no growth in household income after inflation under the Biden and Harris White House. You know, median household income is actually down slightly to $80,610. That was as of last year. Real wages after inflation down 2.5%. We know that the Joint Economic Committee Republicans say voters in the battleground states are $1,000 a month poorer. They have $12,000 a year less money after inflation under this White House.
Yeah, and the inflation is a hidden tax. And in my area, the Phoenix metro area, don't forget, we were one of the hardest hit for inflation. We still are hard hit on inflation. So when President Trump says he's going to attack inflation, he needs Congress's help. We got to stop spending us in inflation. But his energy policy is also going to reduce costs, and that's going to make people lower costs. They're going to feel richer. They're going to feel better off. But then when you start reducing taxes and the regulatory reductions he wants, now you're talking about an overhaul in the economy that is going to stimulate this economy. And just like he did with the Tax Cut and Jobs Act, I think you're going to get record revenue coming into the federal government just from the economic activity alone.
Yeah, that's interesting. You know, so by the way, all these tax break ideas would have to pass Congress. But, you know, Congressman, we have not seen a candidate campaign on tax hikes and raising taxes since Walter Mondale. And Mondale lost in a landslide to Reagan. Kamala Harris wants to get rid of the tax breaks under the Trump tax cuts. That's a $5 trillion tax hike. You know, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, more than 500 business groups sent an open letter saying this would be the largest tax increase in U.S. history, what Kamala Harris wants. Didn't over 3/4 of Americans, of households, get a tax cut under the Trump tax cuts, including low-income taxpayers?
Yeah, it was one of the broadest tax reduction plans that we have seen perhaps in the history of the country. And it stimulated the economy, Liz, as you know. I mean, we started seeing people going back to work. Our workforce, out of the workforce numbers dropped. You saw people getting back in and all that. It was fantastic, and that's the economy he'll give us.
Congressman Andy Biggs, a pleasure to see you again. Thanks for joining us tonight.